And hello everyone, welcome in this new video. Here is a series of videos about how to create the content structure of a specific website in Strapi. So today we're gonna cover the apple.com website. I will show you my thought process to detect the different components in the page and how to create that then in the Strapi application. So let's get started. Here we have the apple.com website. It's the home page. So the first thing that I'm trying to do is to find the different patterns, highlighting the different components, content structure. So by just scrolling the website, we can see that we have first three elements, three sections that are really similar. The first one here, it's exactly the same as the second and the third one. We're full screen, like full width, with kind of a title, a second title, and then here there is a text, but after we have a link, and here there are two links, and here there are two links. Really similar structure. If I continue to scroll, I can see that again I have a repetition of the same content structure. We have a box right here, which is the same for the next 5 elements. And here again we have exactly the same structure, a title. We will see after, but in fact it's an image with a title, another title, and the same link that we saw just before. So in my head I have a trigger, like it's the same element. Keep that in mind. Then what do we have? And here we have a slider. And when I see that, I see films. And films are, to me, it's a relation to another elements. So we just grab elements from films and we display that in the page. And again, we have the same content structure, an image, a category, a text, etc. And then we have the footer. The footer, again, not really important because that's going to be the same on all pages, same as the header that we have here. If we want to manage the content in Strapi, we can do that, and that's going to be the same on every pages. Most of the time, to be able to really understand how the design of a page is done, the question to ask yourself is, do you have a design system? So do you have a designer that created the design with like rules? In that case, you're going to have to apply the same rules from the design to the backend, the content structure in Strapi, and in the front end when you develop it. If, for example, you start with an existing website, something really interesting to highlight the different components, it's to go in the code of the front-end application. So if I check, for example, this first component, we're gonna see the H2, the H3, the paragraph, the link, etc. And we will be able to see if it's the same component or not. Because, for example, if I go right here in this new component or section, we can see H2, H3, and the link. It's the same kind of classes, the same of class they use, or at least not really, but subhead here, it's the same. So yeah, we can see that there is some similarity, and we can do the same exercise right there. We're gonna find exactly the same. Now, the thing that I really like to do is to take a screenshot of the website, a full screenshot, and try to highlight visually the different sections that we have, or the different components. So here we have the header. We're not gonna see that in this video. And then we have our first section. And what do we see is that we have an image background, perfect, that it's a link, because in fact, if we go here and we click, we have another page. So that's a link, or when we're gonna create the content structure, could be a relation to another page. Then we have our text plus image. As we can see here, Apple did a little trick on their title and SEO stuff. So if I go back there in the H2, we can see that in the CSS, we can see a background image, the one that we see. And if we check here, we have a title, which is like visually hidden, which is, I don't think it's great for SEO, but that's the way that they've done that. So here I can create a content structure for having a text, so the title, the H1, and an image. By the way, it's also something that they've done right here for this other component. I didn't check for this one, just doing a quick check here, H4. In that case, it's not the case for this one. So sometimes you have an image, sometimes you don't have. Something to have in mind when we're gonna create the content structure. After we have a text, which will be an H3, if I'm not mistaken, a paragraph, and here our label plus relation. So link, relation, you create the content structures that you want, but at some point could be a relation to another page. So label plus relation. And we have this really content structure right there, exactly the same. And exactly the same right there. After, what do we have? Another content structure, really, really similar, but it's not H3. In that case, it's H4 and H5 for the title. We have exactly the same structures with the text plus image. Something to have in mind again. We saw a content structure just before. We see it again. Don't repeat yourself. That's something to keep in mind all the time when you're using Strapi and you're trying to design your content structure. And after, again, the same button, the same link. Don't repeat yourself. Keep that in mind. And it's a repetition, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then exactly the same here. We have our component that grabs some information to me from a list of movies that contains an image, a relation, like the name of a category. So again, I see my page, my movies, my categories, everything is linked together, and we just display all the information in the home page with just a text and category, etc. And we have the footer, which is going to be the same for all the different pages. Okay, now we have a good visualization, understanding on how the page works. And once you have that, which is the most important, in fact, you're able to then start your Strapi development. So I'm gonna go in the terminal. I will create a new Strapi application. So yarn create Strapi app, then the name of your project, and I use a -- quick start flag to create a Strapi application with an SQLite database. So it's a database that's gonna be into my Strapi project on the .tmp file. Do not go in production with this database. It's not made for. Please use MySQL or Postgres or MariaDB. And if you want, you can go on host your Strapi application on Strapi Cloud, and here we manage everything for you. We set up the server for your Strapi app, the database, the CDN, the backups, like everything. Okay, So we have a Strapi application now running. Let me create the admin user account. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do, skip the tour. We want to manage pages. So because we're gonna have multiple pages, we're gonna go in the content type builder and then create a collection type. A collection type is just a repetition of a defined content structure. So for example, if you want to have multiple pages, different movies, different categories, that's what we're gonna use. So let's create, sorry, let's rename that page. Right, finish. Okay. Then we're gonna add some fields in our page, and we're gonna just start with name. Wonderful. So we're gonna be able to have the homepage, the FAQ, and the product pages. If we want, we can have a lot of different things here. Once we have that, we will create the different components that are needed for our page. So we're gonna have one element here and a second one here because they are not the same. We have seen that here it's an H2, H3. Here it's H4, H5. So they are a bit different. So we would like to have in our backend two different content structure, really similar but different. Because after that, when the front end will grab the data, they should be like the front end should be able to really do the difference between the two. So let's get started and create our first component that gonna contains all the content structure for this really component. So I will call that what could be a good name? Let's check unit wrapper. Let's call that unit wrapper. Unit wrapper. Okay. And I will add that in components. So I'm gonna create a category components with my unit wrapper stuff and up. Okay. Now, what do we have in our unit wrapper component? So we have our background image. Okay, so let's use a media. I will call that image. And in the advanced settings, I will set just an image. I can add also require fields, but to gain some time, I will not do that for all the fields, but you should do it at some point. Then we have a position because I didn't mention that before, but as we can see, the text is at the top, the text is at the bottom. So we're gonna have that. So let's add something like position, top or bottom. So I will use an enum for that. Position, we're gonna have top or and bottom. By default, it's gonna be bottom or top. Finish. I'm saving here because the next thing that I want to do is to create this this element, and we can see that because we have a text plus an image, and that's a content structure that is repeated also here. I want to create a specific component, a specific content structure for that because it's gonna be reusable. So I'm gonna create a new component that I'm gonna call title. I will put that in my components section, give it an icon. And here, what do we have? We have a title, so a text, and an image. Same, it's gonna be one image only. And I just want to have JPEG, PNG, etc. Okay, perfect. And I'm saving. Now we created just kind of a Lego block for our title. And we will be able to use this Lego block, this component, everywhere we want. In that case, in my unit wrapper, I want to add now my new Lego block. So I go in component, use an existing component that I just created. I will call that H1 because it's H1 in the HTML. So I want my front end to be able to like interpret that it's the H1. The content structure gonna be the one from the title. It's a single component. By that, we are not repeating the content structure. We will see that in another example. And now we have our H1 stuff. We can see then that we have our H2. It's simple text. So I can just create a simple text here that I'm gonna call H2. Then what do we have? We have a paragraph. So for this one, what I can do is to use a rich text block, for example. I'm gonna call that subhead because I think it's the name of the class that is used. No, it's callout. So I'm gonna call my element. And then I'm saving because here, what do we have? Again, we have the link. It's again, as we see here, a label plus a relation to another page. So here I want to create a specific content structure again for this link. So I will go back here in my Strapi application. I will create a new component. And what do we have in our content structure? We have, first the name, link. Oops. Link, I will add that in my components, give it an icon. What do we have? We have a label, a text, and we have a relation to another page. So let's click relation and select one relation to a page. Perfect. Now we want to add this link to the unit wrapper. Let's add that. Click on add a new component. Then here, select the existing component because we just created it. So that's perfect. And here we have an example with multiple links. So here there is just one, but if we check that, and because that's the same content structure, so we're gonna use the same component, we have here two links. So I will not this time use single component, but a repeatable component. And I use a plural form here for links because I may have multiple links. And I choose the component link. Perfect. And I save. Wonderful. So here, if I check, we have our image. Perfect. We do not have the link because here when I click, it's a link to another page. So I'm gonna just add here a relation to a page and it's just one relation. Perfect. So yeah, let's do a sum up here. We have our big section here. It's our unit wrapper. It's our component unit wrapper. Inside, we have our background image. So the image that we have right here. We have our position, gonna be top or bottom. So here gonna be bottom, for here it's gonna be top, and here it's gonna be top. Then we have our H1, which is text plus image, as we see. So here, text plus image. A text section for our H2. Our callout for the paragraph. It's here, paragraph. We have our links, because we may have different links. The content structure is a label plus a relation. And here we have our link to a page. And here we have, it's called page. I want it to be link. Okay, save. And wonderful. And here we have our content structure. Now, we could start already creating our page structure. So something that I'm gonna do, it's we created the collection type page, but now we want to be able to add our new component, and we want to be able to add it 3 times. And then we want to be able to add with a different content structure our other components. So the thing that I'm gonna do here, it's I gonna create a dynamic zones, because let's say that probably maybe tomorrow we want to be able to add only 2 sections or maybe 4 sections, up to you. So since we do not know what we want right there, a dynamic zone's gonna be the thing to use, because you give the power of the content to the content manager without asking to a developer to do some updates in the content structure or whatever. So really powerful tool. So I'm gonna add a new field, dynamic zone. I will call that sections, and in here I will allow to have my unit wrapper component. Wonderful. And I'm saving. What does it look like in the content manager? So I go in the content manager, I click on page, I will add a new entry that I will call homepage. Oh, sorry. Wonderful. And now I will be able to add different components. So in fact, only one, because I allowed only the unit wrapper. And here we can start contributing the content. So let's add our first section. So let's create the content for this section here. We will start with the first image. I will add new assets, downloads. I already added everything, so I will upload everything and just select the one that I want, which is this one. Oh, let's upload. Oh, perfect. Oh, it's a multiple image. I did a mistake, for example, in the content structure here. So I will delete everything and I just want this one. Save. Perfect. I can go just quickly do the update on the unit wrapper here for the image, which is here, and click single media. Save. Now I will be able to upload only one media and just making sure it's single here. Perfect. So going back there, going back here in our homepage, the position of the text is at the bottom. I will add our H1. The H1 here, it's not H1, it's H2. Oh, I did again a mistake, but whatever. It's not really what is important. So I will add my text here, and then I can select my image, which is Vision Pro. I can select this one. Perfect. Finish. The H2 that in fact is an H3 right there. Then I can do the same for the rest. Up, wonderful. And now my link. And here I'm gonna have learn more and a page that currently does not exist. But for example, here we can see our home page, but tomorrow you select the page that you already created. And that's gonna be exactly the same as this link. Usually this link and this link gonna be approximately the same, I think. Yeah, it's the same, but here it's not the same. So let's keep two things different. Up, and I can save. Now, in fact, I have my content for my first section right there, and I can have the same for the 3 other sections. The only difference gonna be to have 2 links and do not contains the callout stuff. So it's gonna be simple. Here, when you add a new component, you just don't fill the callout, and you just be able to add 1 link and 2 links. So you're gonna have the buy here and the learn. That's gonna be the only difference. Wonderful. Then the second thing that we can do here, it's now to create the content structure for this section. So again, here we are in a learning process. So it's a bit the same thing. So not up, console saving. It's not really interesting, but that's the job that you're gonna have to do. So I'm gonna create a new component again. Unit wrapper. I should say find another name for this component. Let's say mini wrapper. Mini unit wrapper. Doesn't make any sense, but that's not really important. Okay. Then what do we have? Well, we have exactly the same thing. We have an image. So let's do an image. Singles. This time I'm not doing the same mistake. Then we have our link. So again, same thing. Relation. Link. Then we have our, a content structure that we already created. You have to remember text image. We created a title component for that. So let's reuse that content structure. Component, use an existing component. It's going to be a H4. I will be able to rename later if I want the other one, but single component. It's our title. And something that I missed in the other one, it's to set that as require field. I will show you why it's important after, especially when you have a component that contains another component and you want that content structure to be there by default. Finish. Let's continue. Then we have our text. Again, here it's just our H5. We continue. And here again, we can see exactly the same content structure as before. So it's our repetition of our link component. So component, select an existing component. We call that links. We select our link and repeatable component. Let's finish. I think we have everything. Yes. Image, link, H4, H5, H5, and links. Wonderful. Now I can save that. And as we can see, like once we created some components that are reusable, it takes like a few seconds to create new components, which is really cool. The hardest part in a Strapi project, or when you develop a website and that you use Strapi, it's not on Strapi because that's really easy to use. Everything is on the front end part, like developing just the display of the data. Now what we can do is to go back on our page content structure, and because we can see that the display is a bit different, I would use in that case another dynamic zone to be able to say that in that case it's not really the same display. So I'm gonna create a new dynamic zone. Perfect. And I'm gonna create that mini section. I'm not really creative on the namings, but I add the dynamic zone and I select an existing component. And here in that case, my mini unit wrapper. I don't want any unit wrapper because that's not just really the same content structure. Finish. And I'm saving. Now we can go back to the content manager and start creating new content. So we're gonna have the sections and the mini sections. So let's create our first mini unit wrapper. So here in the example, it's the Apple Watch Series 9. So this one. So select Apple, etc. Oh no, it's a link here. So you're gonna add your link. The title, now the title is here by default. Remember, just before when we were adding a unit wrapper, we had to click here to add the H1, which is in fact is required in any case. So that's not really the good behavior that we want. Here I said that H4 is required, so by default it adds the component in the content structure. So yeah, I will not add all the content here because that's loss of time, but you understand. You add your content here, and path, you have your different sections. So you do that for each different sections that you have right there. Easy peasy. And then finally, the last one, it's this very element here. So to me, this is a repeatable component, but we fetch the data from another list, a film list, because tomorrow we're gonna have like the 7, 8 films that are displayed here. But tomorrow, if we want to add new films and etc., we want to manage films in a different collection type, and yeah, just manage the content a bit differently. So what we're gonna do is, in fact, we're gonna create this content structure that we can see here, the background image, probably a name, the relation to a category in a specific collection type. So we're gonna go back on our Strapi application. We go on the content type builder. I'm just saving here. And I'm gonna create a new collection type that I'm gonna call movie. Perfect. And what is in our movie? Well, it's not mentioned here, but of course we have a name. We have an image, just an image. We have a category. We have just a small text or desk or alt. I will call that alt. And that's almost it. Then we have a relation with categories. So I will finish this. Okay. Then I'm gonna create my categories. So category. It's just a name. And it contains a relation. So the relation, you can create it directly from the category here or directly from the movie section. That's exactly the same. So let's create a relation. So we want a category related to movies. Perfect. And we want to have, so a category can be related to multiple movies, but a movie can have only one category. So one to many, many to one. Save and save. Perfect. And we created the relation here. Now it's gonna be time for creating some content for our movies and categories. I'm gonna be here, just back there. So we have crime, comedy, and adventure. Let's do only that. So content manager, category, here, crime, comedy, and we said adventure. Okay. Wonderful. Now we want to create some movies. So let's go back here. We have criminal record. criminal record with an image. So we should have that right there. Wonderful. Alt, it's you can't hide from yourself. You can't hide from yourself. Perfect. And the category gonna be crime. Wonderful. You understood the logics. That's gonna be long if I do all of them. Once it's done, we need now to create this content structure that we're gonna add in our page structure. So to me, it's really simple because that's a repetition, so a component that we're gonna repeat that contains only a link to the film record. How to do that? Really, really simple. Go in the content type builder, go in a component. So we're gonna call that movie. We're gonna add that in component. A coolie icon. And then we're gonna just have a relation, simple, to movie. Wonderful. Finish. Save. Then we go in our page content structure, and here again, that's here it really depends how you want to structure that. Let's say that it's kind of a fixed content, like we on the homepage we're gonna always have this kind of carousel of movies. So in that case, I will not use a dynamic zone. I will just use the component directly from here. Use an existing component, the one that we just created, up the movie one. And here I will call that movies. And it's a repeatable component because multiple films or multiple movies. Finish, save. Now, and that's the final step. Let's go in the content manager, in pages, in our homepage. Let's go back at the bottom of our page, and here we will see our movies sections where we can add our criminal record, and tomorrow we could add another movie here, and we do our list, and then in the API we will get exactly the content to be able to manage that. Now we have the footer and the header. In that case, I would suggest to use a single type because it's not a content that repeats itself. Like it's not a list of header. It's not a list of footers. It's just one header, one footer. So in that case, I would suggest to create the content structure in a single type like that. Directly from your front-end application, in the layout of your page, you're gonna be able to fetch the data from the header, the data from the footer. Great, you set up the thing, and then you fetch the data from the right pages, the right page. And yeah, I think that's it. We covered like how to from a website. How to identify the different components, how to create the components into the Strapi application, repeatable components or not, dynamic zones, and yeah, that's it. Now we are ready to just manage as many pages as we want to manage the content. And yeah, I hope that this video has been helpful. That you learn some stuff. Please do not hesitate to let any comments to let me know if it was interesting or not. I'm gonna do a series of videos like that to be able to demonstrate the thought process for different websites. If there are any website that you think could be interesting to review, please drop a comment. Like the video, subscribe, everything, and yeah, see you at the next video. See ya, bye.